How's it going, lost boys and lost girls? Did you miss me? I have had a crazy few weeks. I'm sorry I haven't posted anything to YouTube, but if you're following me on Instagram like you should be, then you would know I've been pretty busy. Before I get any further into this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and while you're at it, hit that little bell so you get a notification every time I post a video, which is typically every Sunday, but things change. Let's talk about my 4-park one-day challenge. I like to think of it as a gauntlet. So my friends and I were planning a trip to Tampa. It was gonna be me, my husband Matthew, my friend Courtney, and Ryan. They wanted to leave later on in the afternoon, which means we wouldn't have gotten to Tampa until late because we live about 7 hours away, 6.5, 7 hours, and I wasn't having that. If I was gonna be in the area, then I wanted to go to Disney at least one day because I had to go to the Food and Wine Festival, and that was gonna be my only opportunity this year. So, they all drove one car, I drove separately by myself. I left my house at 4:30 in the morning so that I could get to Disney World and enjoy Epcot for a little while until they came down to Tampa, and then I would drive an hour and a half over to Tampa. I decided while I was on my way to Disney World, I would actually try to go to all 4 parks, which was nuts, but we'll get into that. I thought, well, instead of just going to one park, I'll get there at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Epcot closed at 10. All the other parks closed at like 7 or 8. So I thought, that's plenty of time to go to each park for at least an hour and a half each, and then spend the rest of the day at Epcot and enjoy the Food and Wine Festival, which they had some really great items there. So I was driving down there and I didn't hit any traffic. It was a nice smooth ride. It felt really quick, and before I knew it, I was already at Walt Disney World. My first park that I went to was the Animal Kingdom. I love the Animal Kingdom, guys. I didn't give it enough credit at first. And my lovely cousin Jessica works there at security. If you see her, tell her I say hi and that I love her. I was really thankful that I got a chance to give her a hug and just say hello before I went into the park. When I went in, I immediately started my loop. I decided I would ride the Escape Mount Everest ride because it has that single rider line and it goes really quick, and I wouldn't be spending all of my time waiting for a ride. That'd be just wasted time. So I rode the ride. I finished, sorry guys, I have a little bit of a allergy thing going on. So I rode the ride, and then I continued my loop, walked around, made sure I like really soaked in everything, because as you guys know from my previous videos, that I have a really hard time leaving the parks. I don't want to leave. So I did my best to soak everything in. I took a lot of pictures. I took as many pictures as I could. Went through Avatar Land. I saw everything. And then I had to move on to my next park, but I got to say bye to my cousin because she happened to be coming back from break as I was leaving, so I got to say goodbye, which was really great. So my next park that I went to was Hollywood Studios, because that's where my other cousin Vanessa works. If you see her in the launch bay, tell her I say hello. So I was wandering around Hollywood Studios. All of the lines there were a little long, so I didn't get to ride anything. And then I was also getting nervous because I couldn't find my cousin. Everybody was saying she was over here, she was over there, she's doing this, she's doing that. And I understand it's Walt Disney World, so she was super busy. But I was like, okay, well, I've been here for almost 2 hours. I really gotta go. I have to keep to my timeline. So I was like, well, before I leave, I'll use the bathroom. As I was walking to the bathroom, out from the theater comes my cousin. So I'll post the clip on right now. Isn't that the cutest freaking thing you've ever seen? She was so excited to see me, I was so excited to see her, and I was relieved because I really didn't want to leave without saying hi, because I don't get to see them all that often, and I love them to death. We've been best friends since we were growing up. I just love them so much. So I was so glad I got to see her before I left. We had a quick conversation, and I was like, well, I love you, but I gotta go on to the next park. My next park, Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom was a really tough part to breeze through because it's so much fun and there's so much to do and there's so much to see, there's so much to take pictures of, and it was just really hard to just skim through it all. So obviously I rode my favorite ride, Pirates of the Caribbean, and I got a Dole Whip. But I started going through Tomorrowland, and then I went all the way around. I went all the way around. I rode the ride and got my Dole Whip last, and then I left the park, and that was that. The last park I went to was Epcot, and that's where I got to spend most of my day. I got to spend about 4.5 hours there, and that was a lot of time actually. I didn't think I would have a whole lot of time. I stopped by to see Jeff, which is Vanessa's boyfriend. Got to say hi to him, and I got to try a bunch of different drinks, and the tostadas were amazing. The short rib tostadas from Mexico were absolutely amazing. Try them. If you're watching this before the Food and Wine Festival is over, try it. I realize now that I'm really talking fast. I apologize. I'll try to slow it down. I walked around the park. I got to call my friends, my friend Heather and my friend Christy. We got to chat for a little bit while I was at the parks. I showed them around. I had them on FaceTime, and it was just a lot of fun. And I really hope to be able to go there one day with them. I just love Epcot. I got to watch the fireworks, and I actually, there's like this little section. There was like a shopping pop-up section and 2 little potted bush trees and like a little square right along the water. Perfect view in Canada of the show. And I was like, well, if nobody's gonna sit here, I will. So I stood in there and I was just like watching the video. Some old lady was like, there's a gentleman over there that shouldn't be there. Mind your own business, Susan. Needless to say, nobody asked me to move. In fact, one of the employees came by and they're closing up their little shop, and they didn't have any problem with me being there. So I got to watch an unobstructed view of the show, and it was fantastic. Wasn't Fantasmic because that's a show at Hollywood Studios, and that's not where it was. So after that, I watched the show. I did my farewell loop around the nations, headed out of the park. I was super chafed and uncomfortable just because I was sprinting through all the parks all day long, taking so many pictures and trying to do as much as I could while I was there. And I got to ride the Los Tres Caballeros, which is one of my favorite rides at Epcot. After I did my farewell loop, I headed back to my car, which was in the way back of the parking lot, but that's fine. It's not that big of a parking lot, but it felt forever. It took forever to leave. I waved farewell to Spaceship Earth. See you November. Well, that was kind of my 4-day weekend in a nutshell, and it was so much fun going to Disney World, and honestly, that made the drive worth it 100%. It was just so much fun. And I'll post another video on here, kind of like a how-to on how you can also do all 4 parks in one day. And listen, if you start from the beginning of the day, I had a 6.5 hour drive. If you start from the beginning of the day, it will be so doable, a lot less rushed, and you'll be able to get more things done, including different rides. So like I said, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell button, and you'll be able to watch it step by step on how to explore all 4 parks in one day. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And if you have any questions, comment below. Love you, Lost Boys and Lost Girls. Bye.